Hey everybody, in today's video I wanted to share with you a workflow that's been a lot of fun for me recently, and it revolves around taking some longer samples, chopping them up, using the random slice generator, and then using tracks to save the different variations that we come up with. And then usually what I'll do is I'll come back the following day and listen to them and then pick out which one or couple, two or three that are the best, and then develop the idea around that either on the Octatrack or further in Ableton and finish the track. So let's take a look here. One thing you want to start with is some context loops. So I got a little jam here, a couple loops, a bass drum. So that's our backdrop here. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to go over to control and go to memory, because we want to take some longer samples. So we're going to go down to reserve length. I'm going to crank this up. I think I've been doing like around, I don't know, 50 seconds. My template by default, I think the default in general is 16 seconds. So, whoops. It did not like that. You have to tell it that it's okay to purge any memory. So make sure that you're not doing this once you've got going here. Whoops. There it is. So playback will be stopped and unsaved record buffers will be lost. So make sure you don't have anything in your record buffer when you do change the size of their buffers. And then I got a little track queued up here. Probably won't play it because copyright thing, but we're going to take a long sample of this here, and then we'll come back here in just a second and I'll show you what's going on. So it's going to come into A and B. Make sure our record is off. And it's flipped to max. All right, so now that we've taken that, one thing I did want to mention is it's really helpful if you let your sample roll, punch in at the beginning of the bar, and then punch out like on time, so that you're kind of have it already chopped. That's going to be helpful for a lot of reasons. So if we go in here, whoops, that is the wrong one, sorry. Go back to our record, function and bank goes to the buffer here. And one thing I always like to do, some people don't like to do this, but I like to normalize. Helps me out, helps with my the way I have my gain structure set up. My defaults on my amps are all to 32, so it falls in line. It does take a while to normalize a long file like that, but I'm going to go ahead and save and assign it before I do anything. And if you haven't checked out my saving mistakes, saving tips video, definitely check that out right up here. You always want to save your sample as soon as you've recorded it and assign it. And then what I like to do is go into project and collect my samples. So I'm actually going to save this to new because this is my template. Now that we saved it as new, we're not saving over our template. And then after we save it to new, we also want to go in and go to collect samples. All right, now we got the saving part out of the way. Let's go back to the audio editor. We can see our sample in here. I punched in right on the downbeat, so let me just turn that down just a little bit for you guys there. Okay. So, go back to our audio editor. I'm going to be careful not to play this whole thing, but if we go into edit and we start trimming this, you can see that because I punched in and I punched out right on bar, it's doing the math for me, and it already knows that this is 16 bars, and it's already automatically calculated the original BPM. So that's the nice thing about punching in and out on a bar. One, you don't have to do your truncating, your trimming, and it will automatically calculate the BPM for you, and it already knows approximately what the BPM is. Sometimes you do have to adjust it a little bit, but I found in my experience this is good enough to get us where we're going here. And then we're going to go into the slice grid, and you can do this however you want, but for me, I've been doing for 16 bars because I want to have a lot of different slices. I'm doing 64 slices. This is always a bit of a controversy for me. Sometimes I like not doing the zero crossing because it doesn't move my points around, but sometimes I do get some clicks. So I'm going to say yes this time. All right. so now if we zoom in, we got our slices. All right, now that we're in here, I know this is, you can try it without, and sometimes you do get some decent results. But what I like to go in and clean up and position all these slices, and you can do it pretty quick. I know there's 64, but I'm gonna zoom in and just drop it. And I'm always holding down function when I'm moving the start and stop points. That way I'm getting zero crossings. And I'm going to use quarter note slices, so I'm trying to hit like the downbeats. And I might not even make it, I might trim it down so it's not even the full note length. And we'll just fast forward from here, and I won't bore you with all this. All right, so that did take a little while. Probably take, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 minutes, depending on how detailed you want to get. I would recommend, if you have a lot of content that is repeating, like kind of got the same phrase from bar to bar, try to change it up, make some a little bit shorter, some a little bit longer, some maybe grab like the tail of that beat. Just create as much variation as you can as you're going through. And I definitely would go and save the project again after doing that. Anybody who has had Octatrack has lost their work at some point. So I tend to make a habit of doing a lot of saving along the way, even after I do little things like doing my slices. So now that we got that out of the way, we're going to come over to that track, and I'm just going to fire it up on quarter notes. Now, obviously, you can do any kind of pattern you want. This has kind of been my workflow a little bit here recently. And then I'm going to go back to the slice mode, and I'm going to go down to create random locks. Let's just see what we got. And we're just going to keep doing it until we get something we like. Now, sometimes you'll get some great things right off the bat. This time we're not getting it. We're not getting a lot of good stuff right off the bat, and I think it's because our loop was just off just a little bit, and it shouldn't be off by too much. Let's see if we adjust the speed, if that helps a little bit here. So we're going to go into the attribute menu down to the original tempo, and while that's playing, for context, we're going to kind of do a little DJ beat match here. So you got to kind of do this by ear. If you DJ'd before, it'll be an advantage to you, which I have, fortunately. So this may or may not be beneficial to you, but to me that sounds a little bit better. Sometimes you want to go drastic and then pull it back. Might be helpful for you. Okay, now that we got that, kind of feel like that's in the wheelhouse a little bit better. Let's go back in and do some ramp and see. that one I like. Sometimes it sounds better if you pull one out, or you can label one back down. I kind of like that. That's something I can work with. So now that we got one variation we like, get out of record arm mode, copy the pattern, go over to pattern 2. You can either wait till it starts playing and it'll start playing something that's empty, or we can just stop it and where you should still be on 2, paste it. So now we got the same thing here, but if you hit the pattern, we're on number 2. Go back in here. One thing you like, if you like I like this horn on the downbeat, we can hold the function and rotate, whoops, we gotta get out of the window here, but we can rotate the sequence. So now it's on the first bar. And you can see like some of these are a little bit longer, so when I pulled that one out, created space, maybe I can put another one here. So you can see, you can start with something simple with just your quarters, and then you can get a little complicated. Maybe start parameter locking. Add some effects. You just got to remember, when you copy and paste it over, you're going to be copy and pasting those parameter locks. So let's say we like that one. We'll copy it. This time I'll do it in real time and watch you let it roll. You have to wait till the new one starts playing. Paste. Now we're back in it. Go back to the audio editor. Let's try something different. We got extra locks now, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now remember, we got, let's see. I totally killed that one now. Take the effects off. I like to do this kind of fast just to generate like a lot of ideas, so I'll copy it again. Maybe I'll go back to like that, kind of make them simple, you know. Sometimes I like to see where, like this one's 61, try to grab one that's like next to it. I know those horns are like all we'll play this one backwards. That's not long enough to hear it. Sure got this one really loud though. 48. Wish you could randomize just one, that would be kind of fun. That's alright though. So that's basically the gist of it, and then you just kind of keep going, you know. Just copy this one, go to another pattern. Paste it. Go back to the AD. One thing I also like doing is just reducing the, Sorry, reducing the length of the page. It's easy to get something that's a little bit more loopy and repetitive with like an 8. If you have those longer samples when you do like shorter stuff, you know, you're getting it. Like that's pretty funky. And another one. And then, you know, with the OT, it's limitless. You can go in and, you know, do all kinds of effect stuff. You can change it up a little bit if you want to go into. Let's find something that we actually like, and then I'll show you on the amp. Kind of like that, except for maybe this one. Like that's funky. Now go into, and then we can mess with attack. Make it pump a little bit. Change the release. And just remember, when you start messing around with the settings here, when you go and you copy that over to do another variation, it's gonna keep that. So if you want to, like if I go backwards to all the ones that I've previously done, it's going to have all these settings changed, and I might not like the way that sounds. So here's where you can use the parts, and this is a great way to mess with the parts. So if we got part 1 here, copy that part, go to part 2, paste that part. Now assign part 2. This is a little tutorial on parts. Now assign part 2. Now we can go and mess with this. Now if we go backwards, you can see it changed the machine back. Just got to remember now when we go forward and we put it on this pattern, now we got to remember that that setting is machine 2. So if we want to go back to the original settings for, let's say we only liked that envelope setting for that version, now you would go back into your parts and assign part 1 that didn't have those adjustments on. All right, so that was a little tip there with the parts, is making sure you can copy and paste parts around, and then that also would apply to if you wanted like a totally different effect on one of them. So I can give you like one quick example of that. We can. This one's on 7. That was with part 1. Let's just copy this one over. Whoops. Copy that one over. Go to 8. Paste it. Now let's do the same thing. We'll go to our parts, and we'll copy part 1. Let's go to part 3. We'll make it a totally different one. And now let's actually engage part 3, and then say instead of a delay on here, I wanted like a lo-fi. So now that's, you know, saved within that. If we jump back here, we'll go to part 1. So this is our original part 1. I think on 7 we changed it to part 2, or was it 6? Yeah, there's part 2 where we had the amp settings changed, and then we can go to there's our 3 with lo-fi on 2. Hey, if you learned something today or found value in this video, could you please hit the like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you actually learned today. If there was something that I missed that you can share with the community, definitely leave that down below. And if you really want to show some love, head over to my Patreon, and over there you can get free project files from the previous videos, sample packs. I got all kinds of goodies on there, and I sure would appreciate it. Thanks so much for all the people that do support me on Patreon already, and have a great day, and God bless.